Oh no. There we go. Hi, everybody. I got us all set up and now we're right in our correct boxes. Welcome, everyone, to the Roll20 Community Live Roundtable. We have a special guest today who we'll introduce in just a moment, but we're very excited to have her here. I am one of your usual hosts, Soraya and Haji, the Director of Communications at Roll20. And with me is our other usual host, Kenton.
Kenton Hansen, product director here at Roll20 as well. And we're happy to have with us someone from Code2040. Danielle, why don't you introduce yourself?
I sure can. I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Danielle, and I'm the interim vice president of programs at Code2040.
Awesome. And Code2040 is this really amazing nonprofit that Roll20 has partnered with. We have committed $50,000 in matching donations. And you can actually see at the top of this stream that you can count all of the donations as they're coming in. And every dollar that you donate, we will double it to contribute towards the great cause that is Code2040. Danielle, do you think you can talk us through a little bit about what Code2040 is and how y'all started?
Sure. So Code2040 is an organization that is working to bring full representation of Black and Latinx individuals in the technology industry. We started about 9 years ago through the efforts of Laura Weidman Power and Tristan Walker. And at the time, they were students at Stanford. And as they were kind of matriculating through the education system, they realized that there were not enough or any Black or Latinx technologists that they could identify. And so they created this organization with the goal being to build a pipeline of Black and Latinx technologists to be able to show the tech community that, Black and Latinx technologists are here and they're present in the workforce. And over time, our mission has shifted because now we no longer see this as a pipeline problem. We actually see it as a systemic oppression problem. Mm-hmm. And so our mission has shifted. And now our focus is to help break down the barriers that are present within systems and technology organizations that keep Black and Latinx technologists out of the innovation economy.
Yeah, and that's something that's so important, right? Because so often you have people that get these promising careers, but then the circumstances surrounding those jobs wind up pushing them out. And your organization is doing some really important work to help support those folks and give them the tools that they need to really succeed and thrive over the long term. So I'm going to ask you to talk about your programs in a second, but for those of our viewers who are used to us going straight into Roll20 news, we will get to Roll20 news, but we'll get to it a little bit after. We're going to talk to Danielle, then we'll take a break and go back to the regular stream. As usual, if you have questions for us, please ask them in chat. We will answer those at the end if they're about Roll20. If they are about Code2040, we'll read them to Danielle while she's still here. But yeah, so that's our structure, and thank you, chat, for joining us for this. Danielle, can you talk to us about some of the programs that you all have going? I seem to remember that you and I talked about a fellows program, for example.
That's right. Every year we do a fellows program that invites Black and Latinx technologists to apply to our program to receive an internship at a top tech company. And as they are journeying through their internship over the summer, they are partnered with a mentor in the tech community, and that one that is in the Code2040 community as well. And they also go through learning labs that we put on as an organization to help them become racial equity advocates, not just for themselves, but also in the organizations that they're working in to create change there, but also to take back into the communities that they live and work and kind of move in. Mm-hmm. So yes, that's our fellows program, and it kicks off tomorrow for 2020. So we're really excited.
Oh, fantastic. What a great day to have you join us.
Yeah, it's a great day to have me here. And I'll also say, in the midst of COVID-19, like so many other companies, we had to make a lot of pivots. And so this is the first year actually that our fellows program will be completely remote, which is really exciting. Mm-hmm. So we're really looking forward to it. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for your upcoming fellows starting tomorrow. Send them our best wishes. And I know you also have an early career accelerator program. What's that entail?
That's correct. So we also offer an early career accelerator program. And this is a supplemental onboarding program that we offer to folks in their first and second year of full-time work post-college.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we help them understand the unique challenges of being a Black or Latinx technologist in the innovation economy. And so we talk with them. They also get a mentor, and we bring in speakers to help them understand the financial part of having a full-time job. And we help them understand the organizational structures of tech and technology and how they can maneuver and grow and build their careers
Mm-hmm.
in tech.
That's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I think there was one more that we talked about that had a cool name. I think it was
The
Tech
Tech
Trek.
Trek.
Tech
Yeah.
Trek, that's right. So Tech Trek is not active at the moment, but Tech Trek is kind of a spring break program, is kind of what we call it,
Mm-hmm.
where we allow folks who want to be exposed to the tech industry to get a sneak peek at what it looks like to work in tech.
Mm-hmm.
So for 1 week during spring break, we invite potential technologists who are in college to come with us on a journey where they will get to visit tech companies. They'll get to hear about their products and the work that they do. And then they offer feedback to the organization about what it was like as a Black or Latinx person in their environment, hearing about their company, hearing about the opportunities available to them. And so it's a two-pronged approach where we offer feedback to organizations about
Mm-hmm.
how they can better support Black and Latinx technologists who are in their space,
Mm-hmm.
who are hearing about their roles and opportunities. And it also gives those future Black and Latinx technologists the opportunity to hear more about what a future in tech could look like.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
Right.
I love
And
that part of it so much. Yeah, the two-pronged approach is amazing. One of my
Yeah.
most exciting parts.
It is. And I'll also say, like, our fellows program has that two-pronged approach as well, where we are working with the fellows themselves to help them be racial equity advocates. But we are also working with the companies, and we offer what we call manager training
Mm-hmm.
to all of the managers that will be managing fellows in our program so that they understand the unique cultural differences and ways that we can set up Black and Latinx technologists that are working for them over the summer to succeed.
That's such an important way to approach things, that it's not just putting those people in the position of like you have to do everything yourself, but also you all are working with the companies, making sure that those companies get training and resources that they can also help from their side.
Yes, that's right. And I think that's one of the things that we realized, like over the years, it's the reason we're no longer a pipeline program, because we found that the talent is there.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a talent issue. There are skilled and excellent Black and Latinx technologists. Oftentimes, the problem lies within the systems that are well, I won't say intentionally, but that keep Black and Latinx folks out of the hiring, the promotion, and even like their retention plans. And so we do work with companies to identify those systems that are harmful, and we help them break them down and be more equitable for folks.
Mm-hmm. That's such an important thing to change things in the long term, too. That's such amazing work that you all are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so like we talked a little bit about your origins and how things started, and you referenced that you've changed from a pipeline program into something more over time. Can you talk to us a little bit about like what that more looks like, and also, what kind of results you see with these programs?
Absolutely. So, like I mentioned before, we were a pipeline program, and now our goal is to break down the barriers, the systemic barriers that have traditionally kept Black and Latinx folks out of the tech industry. And so, one of the most important statistics that we have found is that 20% of all computer science graduates are Black or Latinx, but
Mm-hmm.
only 5% of them enter the workforce. And over time, we found that a third of them, or that actually only represents a third of all of tech.
Mm-hmm.
And so we set out on the mission to really discover why that is. And like I said before, we identified that there are inequitable hiring practices, there are inequitable onboarding practices, and there are inequitable practices around promotion that not only keep Black and Latinx folks out of tech, but it also prevents them from being represented at all levels of tech.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important because when you're thinking about building a product for an audience of people, we know that your audience of people aren't just one type of person. We need that representation at every level of an organization so that it meets the needs of the people that the product is intended to serve.
Yeah. And like you were referencing earlier, the talent is there. Building things within the company to make sure that that talent gets a chance to be recognized is such an important part of this. It's not, yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
So one of the things, I think you mentioned, actually, I wanted to talk to you about, we had an interesting conversation earlier about women identified applicants and some of the programs that you were able to, or rather some of the processes that you were able to put in place with your program to improve the rates at which women identified applicants were coming through.
That's right. And so I'll also say that for folks who are interested in applying to be a part of our program, our 2021 Fellows Program application opens July 5th. And part of what we are doing to raise the voices of women identifying applicants in our process is we found out that over time and throughout the application process, our women identifying applicants have dropped off at higher rates than our male identifying applicants. And so we created a campaign that lifted the voices of women of color in tech all over the country to encourage our women identifying applicants to complete the application.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, we saw a 43% increase, not only in women identifying applicants who completed the application and became finalists, but also finalists who were hired by our company partners to be fellows in our program.
That's
and so we've
amazing.
seen a lot of success with that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's huge growth.
That is huge growth. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the questions we had in chat, I'm actually really excited to talk about, although I'll wind up answering it, I guess, is Nathan Kaiser wants to know, will any of your fellows be interning at Roll20? Now, you and I were talking about this morning, and you mentioned that you're opening up your partnerships for next year. So we're actually going to be talking to you about that and see if we can sync up so that next year we have some fellows from Code2040.
That's right. A lot of our applicants are interested in gaming in tech. And so we would love to explore what a partnership with Roll20 could look like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm out of questions. Kenton, did you have any that you wanted to touch on?
I think we've covered just about everything. The last thing I was going to ask Danielle was, well, I'll save the last thing until there's anything else. Danielle, would you like to add anything more?
Well, I just want to remind folks that this isn't an individual problem. And this isn't just a tech problem, right? Tech has just fashioned itself as the trendsetter and the innovator on what the industry and the future of the workforce looks like. I want to remind folks that this is a systemic problem that impacts every aspect of our life. And at Code2040, we are choosing to tackle one aspect of it. But I really would encourage your viewers and your listeners to really look at the ways in which they can help to break down those systemic barriers in their own organizations.
Yeah.
I invite you to continue to check us out at code2040.org.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, check them out at code2040.org. They have a lot of information there, some resources that you can look through to learn about the programs they're doing and also about things that you can do to address these issues within your own organization, like Danielle referenced. Another thing you can do to help is follow that Tiltify campaign link up there and donate to the campaign. Again, every single dollar up to a total of $50,000, Roll20 is going to match. So every dollar is going to be doubled. Thank you so much, Danielle, for coming by to talk with us. We're so excited to be working with Code2040 as one company that's Roll20, so name number to another name number company. It's very exciting to be able to work with you folks.
Thank you.
Yes, very much.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to be here, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And we're excited to see what the future holds for Code2040 and Roll20.
Yeah, me too. All right. Thank you, Danielle. Everyone, we are going to throw to a quick break to say thank you to Danielle ourselves, and then we will come back for the regular Roll20 talk and some questions. All right? So,
all right.
Off
Thanks,
we
everyone.
Go. Bye, everybody. And we are back. Thank you, everyone, for waiting while we switch things around. And thank you again to Danielle for coming by and talking to us on behalf of Code2040. It is a wonderful organization. We're super excited to be able to work with them. And yeah, we hope that the community will join us in supporting them. So keep an eye on that Tiltify up there. And please contribute if you can. Hang on one sec. All right. So we already introduced ourselves. I think we can skip that part, right, Kenton? Did you forget who you are? Did you forget who I am?
I remember. I'm Kenton. You're Soraya.
Okay. All right. Great.
We did it.
We did do it. Perfect. So last time on the Roll20 live stream, on the Roll20 Community Roundtable, we talked about all the new live streams we have, and we still have some great ones coming. Those are now live and active. So Indoor Recess, The Lost Mine of Phandelver, and Learning Roll20 are all currently airing. We'll talk a little bit about those in the future. We also talked over some suggestions, including jukebox questions and resources for new users. You can check that roundtable as well as all the previous roundtables on our YouTube. We have a playlist there. And the thing that I had been ineffectively hinting about, because it turned out I had already spilled the beans the month before last month, compendium selection is now available. User Crimson Guyver had actually asked us a question about this feature, and like, is there going to be a way that we can limit players' access to compendiums? So, for example, if you're playing a D&D game and you own 5 D&D books, but you only want to have 3 of them active in your game, you can now do that through compendium selection, and you can read more about that on our blog. As for what's coming soon, well, we've got a pretty exciting live demo to do of some changes to updated dynamic lighting that are looking pretty good. Kenton, are you ready to swap over and talk dynamic lighting?
Heckin' yes.
All right, take that wheel, sir.
All right. Well, updated dynamic lighting came out in April. We released that on the production servers, and since then we've been continuing to work on it. This is a little Cragmaw hideout from Lost Mines of Phandelver, and I've got a wizard Remy in here that I'm going to use to show this off. This is my GM screen. It should look familiar to you with the grayed out sections of dynamic lighting. And then if we swap over here and select my token, there is Remy as the character looking with her light.
So we've got a GM screen and a player screen, and we're swapping between them so you can see how it looks.
Yes, that's
Gotcha.
that's correct. Okay, so a couple of things as we pop in here and look at the updated dynamic lighting tab. We've got limit field of vision. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about night vision, and I'm also going to talk about directional light. So those 3 things plus one more. In fixing the barrier issue, now I can do that as a GM. That's right. Gotta be a player. But in fixing the barrier issue, we've actually made a small change. Right now, you can see that if I run up against these barriers here, the light leaks don't happen anymore. While we were doing that, and I made it work really well with our party pairs over here.
They're very excited about the fix.
They are. Token size now actually has an impact on the distance that or the distance of a barrier that you can go through, an opening, right? So if we come over here, you can see there's a little blockage right here, but I can still see through this and I can peek through those holes. But if I try to go through, I can't as the player because it's too small for me.
Right. So to give this a little bit of context, and correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, Kenton, but with updated dynamic lighting, there used to be an issue where sometimes you could push your token right up to the edge of the wall and see through the wall.
Yeah,
and so
the light would momentarily blink through the light barrier.
Right, and that would reveal everything behind it. Not how lighting is supposed to work. So we changed that, and now the barriers work as expected. So when you walk a token up to the wall, it will properly get blocked. It will not see through. And if you walk them up to a door that is too small for them to fit through, like Remy through this little thing here, they can see through this one because there's nothing blocking their vision, but they cannot walk through it because it is too small.
Now, that's especially interesting if I were to take, as the GM here, I'm going to take Remy, and she drinks a potion of enlarging and becomes bigger there. And then now when I try to fit through here, it doesn't work. Oh, it didn't work before. But it's cooler because she's bigger now, I guess, is the point I was coming for there.
Now, what if she drinks a potion of dislargening?
Yes, potion of dislargening.
That's
so
what
as she goes
called,
down,
right?
I'm pretty sure. So she blinks down. Oh, I gotta hold shift here. She blinks down. Her very
You'll
much
get it.
smaller.
We know our tabletop.
Yep.
Is it Alt?
It's Command, and I have to remember what because I'm on Mac. It's Command, and I have to remember what key I have mapped to command on this non-Mac keyboard. So she can just
you're still on the GM
slip.
screen, so that's cheating. You got to
Oh,
go
it
back to
is.
your player screen.
Every
All right, so
time.
this is Remy. Now under player control, she can.
So now under player control, she can just slide in between in there. And actually, this one is still just a little bit too small, which still stops her. But yeah.
Yeah. So doors, or rather doorways. Now we still don't have doors yet, but doorways now respond realistically to token size.
Yeah. The other thing, and I think this is one of my favorites. First, I'm going to talk about field of vision and directional light. One of the major reasons why we work so hard on converting this to WebGL is that it allowed us to separate the concepts of vision and light in this way. I can limit Remy's field of vision, right? And I've already put some totals in here. So she can see a total of 220 degrees field of vision, and it's centered on 90 degrees. That should be a change that a lot of people with special tokens that they want to use are excited about.
What you see with your special eyes.
So now you can see that she can't see behind her, but her light is actually shed all the way around her. Mm-hmm. So that directional vision is limiting there. Now, if you have
can I just say, is incredibly good for like spooky, you're in outer space and there's some aliens running around your abandoned spaceship. You cannot see behind you. It's pretty cool. I like it.
And 270 degrees is a whole, or 220 is a whole lot. You know, if you're wearing a space helmet, it'd be much shorter, something like that. And that's all that she can see, and then spins around, and then, oh, she's in a party. She didn't even know.
Oh man, what a good surprise. I'm so relieved.
Directional light does the same thing. It has those same controls. This would be great for your bullet lanterns, those kinds of flashlight would be really good for this. So you might be able to see all the way around you, but you only have a flashlight, so it only lights up that amount. Second to those, and this one is most exciting. I'm going to go back really quickly and go to more of an open space. This is Remy's vision, right? Vision and light right now. She's casting light, and you can see the barriers of the cave are blocking that for her, and the trees over here, she can see those goblins. But if we turn on night vision, you'll see that I'm going to reduce this just a little bit for effect, 45 feet, but there's this little tint color right here. Let's pick something like brown. So now, outside of Remy's vision, right, her bright light and dim light vision, and I think she has dim light, she's got another color, which is this brown. Let me reduce her light just a little bit more to make the effect better on smaller screens. Her light is only 5 feet of bright. That candle is dim. And then here's the rest of the dim light that goes out there. But that actually slightly changes the texture of the map and everything, and it adds a tint to it. And that tint is completely customizable. So, Remy might be using magic to do this, in which case, it might be like a blue color here, and that's her magic vision. Or if you're playing something like Delta Green, which is a Call of Cthulhu-ish hack, and she's using night vision goggles, and let's even go a little bit more crazy and say this is 5 feet and save those changes. So there's the night vision goggles that she has to really play that up.
Oh, that looks so cool. Oh,
yeah.
I want to play a spaceship game now.
So and one of my favorites is actually like this cream color, I think, only because it looks like your kind of mappish color, which I really like that. So,
oh yeah, that's got a nice effect on the in the fantasy realm that Remy inhabits.
And if for some reason you want to go a little, sorry, I am gushing.
No, gush
I'm very
away.
excited.
You got some fun things going on.
You can go, darker. You can pick that color, and there's also immediately right now with our color pickers, there's the hex code. So if you pick one specifically that you want to do, or have that, you can do that. There's a nice purple. We did this because we wanted to make sure picking one didn't feel right, but that's there. This is in testing right now, or sorry, not in testing. We have a couple bugs to work out with it. If there are more than one token on the board with night vision that a player can control, you get some interesting blending effects, and we want to make that just right. And
so
there's
this is
another
not available for people to test on their own yet. This is our own internal testing. Okay.
Sneak preview early in everything. That's true for directional vision, directional light, so field of vision, right? Directional light, as well as the tinted night vision. Now, pro users can use the collision. Oh, as a GM, always doing that, forgetting which I am. But collision detection can be used right now on the demo, on the dev server. Goodness, yeah, and you can play around with that. We've made a couple updates to that, and we have one more coming. But yeah, we're really excited about all those.
So you can test the collision and the token sizing now. It's just like the colors and the night vision enhancements. Those are not yet live. And rather, when I say you can test them, I mean they are on our dev server for pro users to test.
Yeah, pro users can test those.
Okay. Well, that's pretty exciting. Obviously I'm biased, but I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm very excited with where this is going, and those will be available very soon.
Awesome. Well, here's our faces back. Thank you, Remy, for displaying your powerful magics. We keep our release notes. We post them at least once a week, so you can be informed of the changes that are coming to Roll20. We'll drop that link into chat so you can see all of the stuff that we've done recently, as well as the stuff that's live versus the stuff that's testing. But so I've been dropping some hints, and they were originally unintentional. It's just where my brain is at. But space games are pretty fun. Yeah,
they are.
You
know what I like better than space games?
What do you like better?
Or like, I mean, I like space games, but to really bring it up a notch is like space fantasy games. Those are fun.
Space fantasy, man, I would love.
Have you heard of any new ones that are coming out
that has like, a really cool aesthetic? I actually have heard of one called Bryte.
Oh, interesting.
All right. I'll stop cheesing. So Bryte is a new role-playing system that has been developed specifically for Roll20 as a virtual tabletop. So it is going to be something that you would be able to play in person because it uses regular dice, but it's enhanced by the Roll20 tabletop because you can compute so much more. You can do so much more with like the mechanics of this game, and it's really fantastic. It's got science, it's got magic, starship travel. It is science fantasy. We will drop the link to the post where you can learn about that as well into our little chat over here. And next month, we're actually going to have James Introcaso, the lead designer of this game, on the roundtable. So very excited for that. I am just barely restraining my temptation to spoil everything I know that's Bryte related, because there's some very cool stuff coming. But keep an eye out for next month's roundtable. We're also going to launch an actual play, so you will be able to see people playing it and streaming it and check it out. So yeah, by all means, have a look at that baby.
I'm also excited that Bryte is going to be the staff game selection coming up soon. But
that's right.
That's pretty selfish of me to bring up here.
Internally at Roll20, we all we all sign up for games that we can play to actually, use the platform, have some fun with each other, because we're all a remote team. And so this gives us a way to all get together. So everyone at Roll20 will also be playing their own versions of Bryte. And I'm very excited to see what nonsense all of our groups get up to. I skipped ahead back to our faces. Hi, Kenton. Your face is lovely.
Thank you. Yours too.
Thank you. Oh, you know what? I could have stayed where I was. Sorry. So, speaking of live streams and actual plays, I mentioned this earlier, but we have these two live streams that are going on right now. We have The Lost Mine of Phandelver, which is playing through the very same adventure that Kenton was just showcasing moments ago. We also have Mythic Odysseys of Theros, as played by the Indoor Recess crew. So join those those casts on Mondays and Tuesdays, respectively. The times are up there. All of those crews are also helping raise money for Code2040. Again, please donate if you can. And I think next week is also the last week of our Learning Roll20 stream, which has been on the D&D Twitch channel that talks about how to set up your D&D game on Roll20. If you missed any of those, we have the VODs of them on our YouTube channel, so you can still catch them. And you can catch the last one live next week, where they will be going over session 0. And we have a brand new indie showcase coming up. If you watched our indie showcase before, it's where we take a small independent game and we put an actual play of that onto our channel. And if we can, we try and get the developers involved so they can talk a little bit about the design of the game as well. But one way or the other, it's a really great way to see these new games, or games that are not getting as much attention as perhaps they deserve, because they're very cool games, and to see people play them. So follow us on Twitch to catch those, or as always, check them out on YouTube. This weekend, we're also supporting D&D Live, which is an event that every year I love going to. It's my favorite event of the year, and I don't mind saying that. So with everything going on, of course, they've moved this event online. And so we are very proud to be able to support that by allowing people to sign up for games that they can host through Roll20 that are connected to D&D Live. They've also got a bunch of live streams going on. You can find out the details about that by checking out our blog. They, as of sometime, I think earlier this afternoon, just a few hours ago, announced Icewind Dale, the next big adventure for D&D. And that adventure for D&D is like Bryte, something that you can pre-order on Roll20 right now. So if you're interested in that, go check out Icewind Dale. It's a really cool winter setting, and there's some really fun stuff coming up. All right. Questions time. Boop.
Do you want to do some? I always throw us for the loop, right? I mean, do you want to do some from chat now? Reward the people who actually showed up live.
You know what? I like that. Also, I've been reminded that Icewind Dale is the setting, and the full title of the thing is Rime of the Frost Maiden. So I think it's Icewind Dale : Rime of the Frost Maiden, but I'm not sure. But yeah, let's do a couple of chat questions, and then we'll come back to the forum questions. So let's see what we've got here. Kenton, you want to throw the first one at us?
Sure. Let's see. Will, we talked about that one. We have a plan for that one. Goodness, what is your comfort food? That's a good one. What's your comfort food, Soraya?
Pizza would be cheating. So no, my comfort food is couscous, honey, and milk. My family comes from Morocco, so couscous is a giant thing for us, and I could eat couscous all day, every day until the end of time. But when I was a kid and couldn't sleep, or was just upset for whatever reason, my mom would make us some nice fresh couscous, pour in a little milk, pour in a little honey, and then it's just the perfect thing to relax body and mind. Give it a shot.
That sounds good.
I used really to do good, and it's so easy.
Yeah, I used to do that with brown rice and brown sugar and milk.
That sounds good too.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of mine, and of course, asked I would forget it, but it's a Vietnamese noodle soup that's like a beef stew, and it's like got big hunks of beef, and yeah, it's very good.
I'm always down for a big stew.
Yeah, goodness, the Vietnamese name is slipping my mind right now completely, but it's good. Someone will look it up and put it in chat.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Then
and thank you, Graham, for enjoying my Knuckles backdrop. He's very dear to me.
And that was V2 Blast who asked us the question about comfort food as well. So thank you for that. Graham actually wanted to know, a bit off topic, but have we done anything to make it easier for players to make their own tokens without having to be a GM? And we haven't done anything. This is this is a slightly complicated issue because the table belongs to the creator, and so when you upload something like that, onto that table, it like affects the creator and the creators. So typically we have not done that. We've not allowed that. It has to go through the GM because they're the ones who control their table. But I know that there are some, there's been some questions about that and some talk about that specifically with the tokens. So yeah.
That'll be fun.
We're just freestyling tonight. Thank you, Graham, for that question.
We are. I want to ask a question from Elwarius. Will the older modules be updated to use the shiny new lighting tech? And yes. So not only are older modules going to be updated to use the shiny new lighting tech, but you, as the person who has bought it and is playing it, you will not have to do anything. We are going to update the modules, or basically, you know what, Ken, I'll let you get into the technical details of it. But the goal of it is that users don't have to do anything, and your old modules will start working with the new updated lighting when it's ready for complete launch, right, Kenton?
That's correct. And not even, not just, I'll say, not just the modules themselves, but part of our sunset plan is to have a tool to convert those old values into new values, even if it's not something that you've purchased or a module in that way, but just your own game that you've set up, you'll be able to convert those.
So if I have one that I uploaded my own map for and drew my own dynamic lighting layers, this tool will do its best to try and figure out how to adapt that for the new updated dynamic lighting?
I love the way that you said will do its best. There are some logical challenges and logistical challenges in making that perfect, but I feel like we're going to get a good 85% of the way there without much effort, without requiring effort from the user, for sure.
Okay. Let's see here. Let's do one more, and then shall we switch back and get the rest of the chat questions later? Okay.
I love this collaborative thing we've got going on. It's great.
We're freewheeling.
We are.
We're playing jazz. Will there be custom die skins, something that could perhaps be bought on the marketplace? I know that's something that I'm interested in, and I think I even have made some notes about it in the past, but Ken, I don't believe that it's on the development schedule right now.
It's something we really love the idea of. It's not something on the development schedule right now. Yes, those are the answers to that question.
I want it so bad. I want fancy dice. But I'll live for now. All right, so now let's do some of those forum questions. And we will come back. So if you had a chat question that didn't get answered, we will be coming back.
It's Boko, by the way. BHOKO. Yeah, is my noodle beef stew. Beef noodle stew.
Delicious.
Very good.
All right. The first question I've got here is from Alessandro. What do you think about the transmogrifier allowing the copying of folders?
I love that idea. So I love it so much that I read this and made some notes. I think the transmogrifier is one of the most powerful pro features, and a big focus of what we want to try to do is make it easier to move between tables in that way. And I think the transmogrifier is very much part of that, moving the pieces in the same way that you can just stick something in your notebook and pull it out again at a different table. We want to bring that to the virtual tabletop. Transmogrifying entire folders is right in line with that idea. And I will say with that, the real power isn't in the UI as it currently is, the user experience of transmogrifying, but in the behind the scenes where that works. It creates the fluidity between games, like that concept, but it's not even its final form. I'm more interested in seeing the transmogrifier functions in more convenient places, like where you need them. So in a place where you have a handout, creating a new handout from, or a folder, creating those in your game by transmogrifying them in from somewhere else. Yeah, is that a word salad, or did I do a good job there?
It made sense to me. So Great. Hopefully, if it didn't make sense to our audience, they will ask us in chat.
Please do.
Yes, please do. Bramble and Constantine both want to know, when are folders coming to the map page? And I think this is also tied in with, we got a question in chat from Keith Curtis talking about work being done on the page menu. So this would be a great opportunity to loop that all together and talk about what's coming for pages and maps.
Some very interesting stuff. As far as folders, one of the goals is definitely organization. And I know that folders are at the top of everyone's list. And I'm very interested in what folders mean to people individually, because we don't actually put folders in computers. It's just a concept. So yeah, organization is at the top of that list. I talked about the transmogrifier and putting that on the in-demand places. I think pages are interesting things to transmogrify. The other pieces are organization in the way that we create thumbnails. I'd like to get to the point where we can generate a thumbnail that's not just one image, but a combination of images. There's a million different ideas that could go in there, but first and foremost is a better user interface, better user experience with moving around on pages. I am always I always have feelings when I see people say, "Oh, I moved one player to this map and one player to that map," and they're like, "Oh my gosh, how do you do that?" I want to make that better for sure too. So there's a little there's some preview, I suppose, is what I'll say. How about that? Oh, I lost you, Soraya. I cannot hear you now. I don't know why though. I can't read your. Oh,
Fixed.
There it is.
Fixed.
Okay. I was like, oh no.
Thanks. Actually, it was chat that clued me in that I was muted, but I am unmuted now. I may speak.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Bryn, and what I was saying whilst muted is that I knew there was a question in here somewhere that talked about like fancy 3D dice. And so this is the question. Will we ever see a player-based subscription, perhaps some extra fancy 3D dice or some other cool player options? It's definitely something we've looked at, but not something we're planning to do right now. We would want a suite of features to enhance the player experience in the same way that the GM experience is enhanced by things like dynamic lighting, not by creating arbitrary paywalls. Like we never want to be like, you have to pay $5 to roll your dice, but rather by adding cool bells and whistles. Like we're very committed to this idea that anything you can do at a physical tabletop, you can do on Roll20. So if we're talking about a player tier, what is it players are looking for and what is it that we can do for them with the tech that would actually enhance that experience and make it worth creating a subscription a series of subscription features that is about cool bells and whistles, not arbitrarily cutting off their ability to play. So
I think that 3D dice do fit well within that.
I agree
for sure. But
3D dice and customizable dice is definitely something that I think would fit within that. But since our recent focus has been on adding more basic tabletop features or bells and whistles at the GM level, we're not looking to ask players for subscriptions right now. However, it is definitely something that we are looking at. We understand that people want to enhance their player experience. I know that I'm a dorky collector in my own physical games, and I want to enable people to be their own version of collector in their online games with Roll20. So it's something we're interested in down the road.
Cool. Can we go back, since we're playing jazz, can we go back to our notes question 1 from Andreas on your slides?
It is here. I accidentally flipped over it. I thought it was not in my page. Yes.
So Andreas asks, could I, as a player, share to the DM, share my books and handbooks and things that I bought with the DM? Well, he didn't phrase it like that, stumbling around words, but.
So as a player, you can your best option if you own the handbook or things that you want to share with the person who's going to be DMing your game. Your best option is to create the game yourself, and then you invite your friend and you can actually promote them to GM within that game. So that way they will get automatically access to all of the books that you have. You just use compendium sharing and turn it on for that game, and that will allow you to share those books that you already own. If you didn't create the game or don't want to create the game, then your best option is actually to gift the content that you want to your friend who is running the game. You can do that through the Roll20 Marketplace. You can use the gift option, so you could give your friend a copy of the player's handbook. If you are a player in a game and you own the player's handbook and your GM does not own the handbook, you would have to create your own version of the game and then invite them to that in order to be able to share that with them. So hopefully that answers Andre's question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, we did that one. Bryn, I think, has the next question.
Yeah, Bryn is back.
Bryn is back. Will we ever see more game background images for the settings of campaigns?
Oh, yes, I hope so. I look at that feature a lot and I think about how much I want to do with it. So we're on the same page here. My personal inclination would be to make this something where users can upload their own game backgrounds. You can really tailor it and customize it to your personal preference and experience. But that said, there are no definite plans for it. All I can say is that I also would like to dress up my games in fancy clothes.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Same. James has a question. Will funds from subscriptions and purchases be going towards political causes that Roll20 supports?
Yes, absolutely. Roll20 always strives to be an active and conscientious member of our community. Things like our initiative with Code2040 are part of that. And it means we put not just words, but actions and money towards the causes that we support. You can see this commitment in our recent Black Lives Matter statement, which we absolutely stand behind, and in the matched donations for Code2040 that we're gathering in this very roundtable. Thank you again to everyone who has been able to join us and donate. And thank you again to Danielle for joining us to talk about their wonderful organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this commitment has always been and will always be part of Roll20's essential goal to create an open and welcome space where everyone can enjoy games. We know that requires direct action from us to support members of our community, especially those who've been historically excluded. And we're grateful that we have the resources to contribute to those causes.
100%.
Awesome. Well then, I'll ask you a Kenton. Kenton, I'll ask you a Kenton question.
Sounds good.
All right. We've got Sarge89er, Lexin, and Constantine, who all want to know, are we going to see server stability improvements?
So I did some math. Since the beginning of March, which is where the initial spike of playtime and users and use came in, started happening there. There have been 82 bulleted changes in the changelog. Those are not all equal necessarily. Sometimes, we have a new light, which is a whole lot of changes that went in together, right? And then there are some that are a single problem with one game system. So it's not 82 individual things, but just to give us an idea, 82. Of those 82, 19.5%, 16 of those changes were specifically about stability for any one of our systems. Again, not all equal, but as 4 of those are swarms, basically, where a whole team, maybe 4 or 6 or 10 people, will be focusing on one large problem with stability the whole time and resolving large numbers of problems, getting down to the root of an issue. So 4 of those were swarms. 4 of those 16 were swarms. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. Roll20 is made of multiple services. And the error rate, that's an interesting thing to show.
I put together, no, I did not put together, you put together this lovely graph of error rate. Can you talk me through, because I'm not even terribly familiar with it. What does error rate mean in this context?
So anytime there's a problem on the Roll20 service, like at any point in time, there will be an error thrown. That can be something that we did wrong that a user might not even see, or it could be bad information that a user puts in that we catch and put an error, or it could be someone trying to go to a page that doesn't actually even exist, or try to load a graphic that is no longer there. All of those are error rates. Mm-hmm. We've been hovering right about a 1% error rate over like per page. 1% of page loads would have an error as part of them. In the beginning of March, we started making changes towards that and reduced that significantly down to 2%. That was one of the first swarms, and I put that in here in order to demonstrate, what we can do when we focus on one problem like this over a short amount of time and build to that. Definitely something that we are working on all the time, but very specific in this way. 20% of the changes we've made since March have been directed at improving the experience and stability. Roll20 is not just one service. It's not just on one server. It's not just one feature. There's a network of technologies that come together to work. They're all independent, but because they work together, they depend on each other. And so, we've been extending that pretty significantly. In the same amount of time frame since March, we've created or extended independent infrastructure for several of those important services, including voice and video chat, the dice roller, the actual server that generates the random numbers for you, API sandboxes, and a myriad of others in there too.
Yeah.
Short TLDR, yes.
Yeah. Great. So I hope that gives some folks some insight into the work that the team has been doing to try and address server stability. Certainly, there's been an increase in the number of folks who are using Roll20, but there's also been an increase in Roll20's ability to support all those folks. And the numbers we were just looking at show some pretty significant improvements, especially, I think, as Ken pointed out, starting in March, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Because we took a little break in the middle and started a little late, we're running a bit over the hour. But so we're going to try and keep going, but also I'm going to try and speed us up a little bit.
Sounds good.
All right. Mooney05, can we get some more layers to work on?
A new light needs to be done, and then we're going to sunset legacy dynamic lighting, and then some small enhancements to some critical features behind that. But I think that more layers is definitely part of that.
Awesome. And Bramble wants to know, are we going to see options for custom items or equipment and items, equipment, and content in the compendium we can add? So custom compendiums.
I can't imagine that wouldn't happen. I don't know at what point. We're working towards that with people who we work with very closely, other licensed partners and partners in that way, improving those features all the time.
Awesome.
Okay. What are some marketplace maps? Why are some marketplace maps not north up? Kevin wants to know.
And the answer to that is in licensed products, we retain the same orientation that you would find in the print product. So, for example, in Cursive Strahd, rotating the map would cause art assets to be not facing in the intended direction. And from what we've seen working with these, it's pretty rare that maps are not north oriented. There are some, but it should be few and far between. If you find one that isn't, that's because it's that way in the original book.
True to the text. T, I think, is how I'd say this. T-E-E-A-T. T.
I feel like
this
person is teasing me because they know how much I like tea.
I mean, tea's pretty popular. It's not just you, Soraya.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, T wants to know. Hey there, my DMs are having trouble finding any people of color in the black-brown pigments when placing NPC or character tokens. Will there be more people of color character pieces added to the default free gameplay?
This is an awesome suggestion and really appreciate T for making it. When we got this question from T, we went, oh crap, you're very correct. So we looked and we actually have, as of now, released a pack of gorgeous characters drawn by artist Thabiso Malaba for Roll20 back in 2018. That pack is now available for free, so you can go claim that pack. In the longer term, we are making an effort to foster more diversity, both in our recruitment of independent marketplace creators and in our native platform support of both free and subscription assets, to make sure that the stuff that you're getting when you start your account or start your subscription includes a wide variety of appearances and identities that you can select from.
Awesome. I love those tokens too.
They're great. There's not a
Yeah.
single character in that pack that I don't want to be in a game with.
Bramble wants to know, will product reviews and ratings be coming to the Roll20 marketplace?
Whew. I feel like we talk about this one a lot, and it's definitely an issue where we share your concern, especially for modules or add-ons that aren't as easy to assess from looking at. So, like with tokens or map tiles, you can look at the art preview or even a screenshot and kind of get a sense of what you're getting. But with modules and add-ons, you don't get quite that same level of granularity. We have not done it yet because we are being careful in our approach to reviews and rating systems. We've seen how those can be abused, and we want to protect our creators from those experiences. But we're aware that both creators and users would benefit from a well-implemented rating system that helps people find the best fit from their games. So we don't have a status on that yet, but we are discussing it actively and continue to welcome input from both users and creators.
Yeah. Yep. That hit me right here.
Right in the feels.
Yeah, right there. Miguel has a question. Will Roll20 ever have something like Scape as an add-in on this system?
We don't have a relationship with Scape currently, but we do have partnerships with BattleBards, Tabletop Audio, and Incompetech. We're also not done making changes to the jukebox, right, Kenton?
We are not. They're not on the near-term roadmap, but I would love to see several different enhancements to not just the jukebox, but the way we interact with media as a whole on the VTT.
Awesome. Well, for you, any ETA on dim light and dark vision overlap coming to the new lighting? How about the overlap between dark vision and light sources? We kind of looked at that.
Yeah, we did. ETA is we're taking off some of the rough edges that we still have in there that I mentioned earlier, as well as getting through testing before we put that out onto public release.
Yeah, and that was Titus and Mushy that asked that question. And Gargamond will also be pleased to have seen the demonstration from earlier. What can you say about updated dynamic lightings, incorporation of degrees of sight, degrees of light, and light radius multipliers?
And then said wubba lubba dub dub. Yeah, absolutely. We have those in there, and I feel like we've enhanced all of those systems in a really positive way. So I'm excited about that.
Cool. And I know somebody in chat when we were showing that off mentioned that would be really helpful for a lot of Pathfinder 2nd Edition stuff that comes in. So I'm excited to hear you Pathfinder 2nd Edition folks test that out and see if it meets your vision needs.
Anytime I can show love to Pathfinder folks, I love to do it.
Yeah. Masters8 asks, what causes the dynamic lighting to slow down token movement?
Rendering. Every time a token moves, the mask has to be recalculated. At this point, we're moving towards feature parity, and then we're going to have some optimization time where we just work on optimizing how fast everything works. Not even my final form. Said it twice in this roundtable. We've got some questions about Paizo and Dungeons and Dragons. Are you ready to answer those?
I'm so ready.
Okay, do you know what Dodo, B2 the Ill, and Christian O have in common?
What do they have in common?
They want to know about Sword Coast Adventures Guide or the DMG coming to Roll20. What can you tell them?
This year, everybody. The other thing they have in common is that they will be happy at some point in 2020 when these books both all come out.
That's wonderful. Zikaru is asking, what are Roll20's plans to finally make the Lost Omens books available on Roll20?
So we have been on a consistent release schedule for Pathfinder 2nd Edition with large crunch books such as the Bestiary and the Game Mastery Guide. So those are coming out day and date. Our next step is being consistent, that is day and date, with Adventure Path releases. So I think we started in June. We're going to be catching up with catching up with the current adventure path and moving forward from there. It's our goal that the community trusts that we'll have new releases available for like everything that's coming out on the day it's coming out before we start going backwards to look at things like Lost Omens or Age of Ashes, which came out before we were able to have that release schedule set up.
Neat. That sounded I was reading notes. I'm excited about that too. So Judge Nash, Anonymous, and we need to come up with a name. Chat, we need a name for this question asker. Please get to work on that. And Zathos are asking about Pathfinder 2nd Edition and Starfinder. What's coming up on Roll20 for those two game systems?
All right. Well, at this time, we don't have plans to include Pathfinder Scenario Adventures for Roll20, but it was great to be able to pair with Paizo to bring them to PaizoCon 2020. For Starfinder development, I think that's actually in your realm, right, Kenton?
Yeah. Starfinder, it remains stalled due to some resources. If you love Starfinder and are proficient in Roll20 character sheets or even just JavaScript and have some available to work, email me, Kenton at roll20.net with your CV, resume, or portfolio, and
Bold
I'd love to
move.
talk to you.
Bold move, Kenton.
Bold move, Cotton. Yep. Let's see how it pans out. I mean,
and in chat, Robulius has named Anonymous Stanislaw. It's a good
Stanislaw.
name.
That's a good
Solid
name. Yeah.
Bumblebee wants to know what's on the list for Pathfinder 2nd Edition sheet fixes.
So our next large sheet update is going to be item drag and drop for the Pathfinder 2nd Edition character sheet.
Okay. And David wants to know any chance on enhancing or building different versions of, like 1920, of the Call of Cthulhu sheet to make it more like the original.
Our next Call of Cthulhu sheet update is going to be item drag and drop, and we're developing at least 2 more releases for Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition this year. More information is going to come on that later. We don't typically make more than one aesthetic version of Call of Cthulhu, and yeah, those are the plans we have for development right now. I'd like to get more functionality before we shine up that polish again.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty.
I like it.
And Stevel wants to know, as a GM, when I open a player's character sheet and change views, it also switches for the player. Can this be changed?
It can, but we designed that on purpose. One of the things that we always strive to do is make our virtual tabletop as close to playing at a real table as possible. And when you're playing at a real table, when your player, who never knows what they're supposed to be doing, is like, what do I roll again? You can lean over and find their modifier and point to it and say, when I say this word, that's when you roll that thing. And that's what we're trying to do with the way that works. I keep scooting to the other side. Yeah, and so that's why that's there. I can understand it. I understand that there are people even in this call right now
I wonder who that could
have other opinions.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely would love to address that at some point. Unfortunately, like I said, this is kind of a lightning round because we're over time and we're adding time to it. But maybe this is something you and I can talk about on stream in a future roundtable.
Sure. Chat questions?
All right. Well, we have 2 more questions from the forum, and then that's it for the forum questions.
But they're sweet questions. They're ones to answer that are like leave a good taste in your mouth.
Okay, you want to save it for the
Yeah.
end. I get you. I hear you.
Let's take the firing squad, and then we can savor the kind words of forum question askers.
Pick me a question. Let's go for it.
Oh, what haven't we answered? I have to find it now. So, Zavos of Varsaria, are you aware that Paizo's organized play is putting on Concurrent this weekend as well? We put that together as Origins fell apart. I saw that in chat earlier. I think that's really interesting.
I mean, I wasn't personally aware of it, but I think that that's really cool that the Pathfinder community continues to band together and do things to keep each other in touch and support each other during this time. I don't believe that we're doing anything particular for it, but hopefully some of the stuff that we had put together for PaizoCon is going to continue being helpful this weekend with Concurrent, which is a pretty great name, actually.
That's good branding.
Okay.
Do you have one?
No, you go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't. I was going to start looking, but it sounded like you were ready to talk.
I found one.
Okay.
From Ariok Ita. It seems really hard to get official responses on tickets and inside the bug reports and technical issues forum. They've had a couple open for a few weeks with no luck. Is there any plan on ramping up or improving support? I can speak to this from a customer support angle of we've had a massive influx of tickets in the last couple of months, and we have been working on better solutions to try and get through that massive influx of tickets that are starting to pay dividends. We're starting to get some fast resolutions for some more common issues, and we have increased our effective support staff by like 3 times. That said, we still think that response times are unacceptably long, and we are working hard to get back to those previous levels. So Aryak, we are sorry that your ticket has waited as long as it has. We are definitely doing our best to get back to it, and hopefully we will catch up on that backlog and get an answer to your question soon. Thank you in the meantime for bringing a bug to our attention.
And I will say too, in the meantime, using the Help Center is really handy, really good. There's they mentioned the bug reports and technical issues. The community in there is amazing too. So there's more than one way to bark that tree.
All right, I'm going to make you ask the next question. It's your turn.
Okay. Could you guys get the dev team? This is France 5K0. Could you guys get the dev team to export and import rollable tables? Please organize a repository as well. Thanks.
Well.
Oh, yeah, I can answer that.
I'm sorry. I don't know how to answer that one. That's beyond my expertise.
Rollable tables and everything in collections is something that we want to make easy to move in and out of the in and out of the virtual tabletop. Like I said, the transmogrifier needs some additional work, and that's where that would eventually live. And so no firm timeline on that, but definitely on my radar, something that I want to add.
Okay. The next question I have is from Miseras. A question regarding the shows. Was there a statement made about Adam Koebel's departure, and is Blue Jay coming back for a future game? Now, we actually talked about this last month in the April Roundtable, and after reviewing the situation, we followed our own policy and code of conduct, which involved inviting everyone within both groups for a conversation in whatever format they were most comfortable with. Through those conversations, a decision was reached to end those current shows. The cast members who engaged us with us in that process are welcome to continue working with us. Many of them already have started new shows with us, and we're very excited about that. If folks choose to move along, then we support them in whatever their future endeavors are. And so we appreciate everyone who has been a performer for us, past, present, future, and are thankful to our casts for working with us to handle that situation really in a way that was very considerate, as considerate as it could be of everyone's needs.
Yeah, V2 Blast has asked several questions. And one more to add to that. Thank you for contributing, V2 Blast. What TTRPG do you most want to play that you haven't gotten to play yet?
Call of Cthulhu.
Burn Bryte. I guess I have gotten to play that yet.
I've gotten to play it. I've gotten to play it in like the alpha. I do want to play it again.
Yeah.
But which one have I not touched that I desperately want to touch? The answer is Call of Cthulhu. We talked about the character sheet earlier. I actually love that character sheet. I think it's gorgeous. We've got all of these resources that you can play Call of Cthulhu, and I just haven't done it.
Yeah, it is. It's one that I've watched some live plays on to really understand. I've read the rule books and things, but I've never got to play with other people, and I always feel like that adds something to the experience for sure.
Totally.
I'm trying to there's so many little ones that I've had to miss out on recently because of our. I haven't been able to schedule my staff game, and Lasers and Feelings is one that came up. I think those little fun ones are a lot of fun.
Yeah, the crew I know there's a crew that's currently playing Lasers and Feelings, and they were posting some completely out of context images in our company Slack that after a certain number of those, I was just like, I don't know what's going on here, but I can tell you're all having fun.
Mm-hmm. Where like you have no context, but you're like, I like that everyone is enjoying it this much right now. Yeah.
And who doesn't love both Lasers and Feelings?
That's true.
The game that has
no one.
Scott H. Casey wants to know, speaking of marketplace items, would there be an improvement to the marketplace search in game? I think there's. Ken, go ahead. You seem to have an answer.
If I don't have one, I'll make one up.
Okay.
Yeah, we as was mentioned in the pro forum, the road mapping forum that came out, I think two weeks ago, week and a half ago, something like that. We're focusing on the text chat right now, enhancing some of that, as well as the page menu. We're working our way around the virtual tabletop right now and building out enhancements to that. One of those is going to be in tabletop, the art library aspects of that. So absolutely.
Cool. I think that's all of the chat questions. So now you get to have your happy-go-lucky sign-off.
Oh yeah.
I'll go first. The Aaron asked us, what are your favorite suggestions currently in the suggestions and ideas forum? And Kenton, what do you say?
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Mine is map pins. We hacked together a really rough prototype of map pins during a past Oktoberfest, but it's been blocked for a while as we focus on bringing other features of the VTT up to date. Looking at you, dynamic lighting. But as a GM, I'd love to be able to click a little link in the handout to go straight from like, here's the details of this room to here's this room on the map, or whatever other clever uses folks can think of for it. But it's definitely something that it's a simple change that would make my life so much better. So I like map pins. Go map pins.
Well, since the Aaron asked the question, my answer is everything that adds functionality to the API.
Oh, wow.
Those are my favorites.
Suck
Pandering
up.
to the audience,
Suck
yes.
up.
Yes, I know.
The Aaron is a community member who develops a lot of things for the API, including one time during one of these very roundtables when I said I wanted an API to pet a dog. The Aaron turned around and before the roundtable was over, created an API to pet a dog. So thank you, the Aaron. You will always have a place in my heart for your dog petting API.
Let's see. So the next question is, what do you like most about Roll20? Tony asked.
Sure. I like that I can play with my friend in California or in Florida or even in Europe. I like that my choice of who to play games with is no longer limited by whose house I can get to, but who I can simply find time to play with. It might not always be that simple. That's sometimes the hardest element because everybody's schedules are wonky, but it's definitely allowed me to play games with friends that I haven't lived in the same city or even state and sometimes country with for a really long time. And it means a lot to me that I'm able to do that. I've done my fair share of games using only like VoIP calls, so it's only like a voice, but there is a special kind of magic to meeting in a virtual room like Roll20 creates and playing with actual maps and tokens and sound effects. And even if you don't wind up using all of those bells and whistles, there is something unique about having that space that's like, this is the space we come to play our game. And I really like that about Roll20, and I like being able to share that with my friends around the world. Ken, what you got?
Well, I am lazy, and so I asked. I feel like also the audience gets to hear from me a lot, and so I went to the rest of Roll20 and I asked everyone, kind of in our company Slack, that same question, and it got a lot of cool different answers. I'm just going to read some of those now. Austin, who's our controller, deals with that money. If you're a marketplace creator, Austin's sent you money before. He said you send a link to a friend and they can play right away. Jeff, one of our lead developers, has been on the stream, this roundtable stream before, said I can play with my partner even when we're 3 meters apart. And he said that was a joke too, but he liked being able to automate all the things, which makes sense for a developer, especially with the API, so you can play with his partner 3 meters away from him. Good job, Jeff. Yeah. Ashton said immersion. Ashton is one of our producers, converting that publisher content for everybody and getting those on the marketplace. Never found a good way to limit player vision in a physical tabletop, but on the VTT, it can happen individually and based on the mechanics of the system. It's a great way to build in character and player tension, like those spaceship flashlights. flying around in the Bryte universe. And let's see, and encourages player attention as well. Also, module conversions save a lot of time and energy, and at a standard that's hard to achieve doing it yourself. I will say that is kind of pandering from Ashton because she does those, but
yeah, but
she does.
She's right though.
She is right. I just wanted to call out the potential conflict of interest in that answer.
Fair, but she is right.
Yeah. Dean, Director of Operations, Dean said that they like spell effects shooting out of a creature. They're fun even after the billionth time.
My favorite with that was I took it and like used it to create a little fairy character that would appear in a game randomly, but you can do fun things with spell effects. All right.
I was going to say, Jeff would probably automate the spell effects with an API. Yeah.
You can do that. Dean actually showed me how to do that once, where you can like have a dragon, and every time you click their fire breath attack, you can set up the FX with a macro to just fire at the mouth.
And fire at a specific character if you want to. Wow. Can I read the rest of these? Or were you cutting? Okay. Stephanie, our Scrum Master, said that her players don't have time to get babysitters to be in her game. And her players don't have to get babysitters to be in her game, which I love the commute of playing on Roll20 the most, for sure.
Sorry, everybody. Can you reread Kristen's answer from the beginning?
Yes. Kristen said that rolling from a sheet and making it do all the modifier math is her favorite and her favorite part of Roll20. Trivia mentioned
many thoughts.
Yeah, 3 different things. I'm going to try to summarize. Charactermancer, clicking actions equals the dice and math handled for them, and dynamic lighting feels like I'm actually exploring things, and that's really fun. I'd agree.
Yeah.
See, lazy, and I crowdsourced my work, and I think it was better than my own answer.
And you made it touching. So thank you, Tony, for giving us all the opportunity to talk about our favorite things. There's a lot of things that I really like about Roll20. I also like that our brand color is pink because it just makes me happy. Someone in chat, I think it was Zathos of Varissia, asked me to share the dragon fire breathing macro. I don't have it. It was Dean's, but maybe we can figure that out, or maybe the Aaron will check in. And I know that the Aaron can do anything. I'm sure the Aaron can do that. So thank you everyone for joining us for this community roundtable. Thank you for staying a little bit late with us. A thank you again to Danielle Owens from Code2040 for joining us and talking about their program. We are going to be continuing to raise funds for Code2040, so please check out that Tiltify link. Remember, every dollar is going to be doubled. All of our official streams are also raising money for this wonderful organization. Many of our Roll20 Spotlight creators have chosen to raise money for this wonderful organization as well. So anything y'all can do to participate, we think it makes a real difference in the tech world, helping people not only get those jobs but also stay in those jobs, which has been traditionally a problem. So thank you everyone for joining this roundtable. Thank you, Kenton, for joining me on this roundtable as well. It's always good to have
Thanks,
your company.
Soraya. Yeah, for putting this together. Thanks for hosting me. Are you the host or am I the host?
We're both the hosts. We're co-hosts.
Okay. Co-hosts. Okay.
All right.
I thought I was a sidekick and you were the host. But...
I mean, you are the Robin to my Batman, but but you're still a superhero in your own right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thanks everyone, and we're gonna say goodbye now.
Bye.
Bye.